Hey, how's it going, everyone? My name is Alexander Petrie, a part of Gaming Tracks Radio, and welcome to the very first episode of Gaming Tracks. So, we have a really big week coming up with Summer Game Fest and a whole bunch of events like, States of Plays and just the Xbox Showcase and all sorts of stuff. So, it's going to be a really busy reveal week of a bunch of video games for the upcoming a year. So I'll be discussing more stuff on that in the second episode. But in this episode, I wanted to do a sort of get to know me. So everything that you'll listen to on this episode will be in future episodes, but this is going to be less geared towards me, so you could get to know me, while the second episode will be a get to know of my brother, because my brother will be featured in the second half of majority of the episodes, so you'll get to hear his thoughts on the topic while you get to also hear mine. But the second half of this episode is going to be geared towards 007 First Light, my own review on it. Sadly, I haven't finished the game yet. It's been out for about a week, but I think I played enough of it. All right, I played several hours of it. So I will be giving you a non-spoiler review on that. While my brother is going to be in the second half, I want to try to persuade him to at least be interested in 007 First Light, because he's more into like multiplayer arcade-like games. So like the first games that come to my mind is he's into like Risk of Rain 2 or Lethal Company or Deep Rock Galactic. He's more into those type of games where it's more arcadey. So my goal is to just try to get him interested, because I'm a huge fan of video games like that, of the single player sort of story driven cinematic, like the Uncharted's and stuff like that, or even like the Spider-Man games on PlayStation. I've always been interested in those types of games. But we have that in the second half. We also have a Games for Impact. I'll be discussing more of that, but that's going to be a game that impacted me. And as the episodes go on, you'll be hearing other individuals share games that impacted them in their childhood and what sparked basically an interest in the video game hobby, or just any sorts of stuff like that towards video games. It could even be a recent video game. If you guys have a video game in mind, hit me up. I will have it aired on the radio, and you'll be able to hear yourself talk about a game that personally impacted you. We have so much coming up, but I wanted to talk a little bit about my year so far, the chaos that has spewed out of this year. It just seems like every year it just gets worse and worse. But I feel like there's stuff that you can learn. That's really what life is. It's a learning experience. So back in March, my basement ended up flooding. And when I say flooding, I don't mean like a puddle of water. We're talking 3 to 4 feet. 3 to 4 feet. There was so much water. People asked me, they asked me at my workplace, because I had to take off a couple days, but they're like, how bad was the basement? I said it was deep enough that I had my own personal swimming pool. I could lift up my legs and I'd be floating. That's how deep it was. It was so dirty too. What ended up happening was my sub pump ended up breaking, and it was during a really bad rain. And it was just, when I woke up to head to work, it was really cold, and that's how I initially found out. It was like 60 degrees in my house. I'm like, geesh, I just got oil too. I just spent a boatload on oil for my furnace, which just turned into just uselessness, really. But I was like, it's so cold. What the heck is going on here? So I opened up the basement door. I wanted to take a look at my oil tanks just to see what the level was, because I was thinking there's no way this is out. I couldn't see exactly because it was just really hard to with no lights on, it was honestly hard to fathom what the heck I was looking at. But the light switch wasn't working. So I'm like, what, did the power go out or something? Like, what's going on here? But then I turned on my phone flashlight and I saw this gigantic puddle of water, like this freaking pool of water. And I was freaking out. I was absolutely freaking out. The first person I called was my dad. And he's like, calm down, relax. And I was really emotionally impacted because I knew that a lot of this stuff was probably damaged, broken, and would more than likely need to get replaced. But I was freaking out. My dad, he really tried to calm me down. My sister as well, because when I called my dad, he was driving alongside my sister. So I was like yelling at my sister. I was cussing her out. I was very emotional, and I normally don't just do this stuff on a whim, but this was such an impactful event for me that my dad, I learned a very valuable lesson. And it's not just how to fix this issue, and I'll tell you that here in a minute, but just the core lesson of how serious, stressful, and anxiety-inducing events can occur 1 minute and then it just completely dissipates the next. Because when I was freaking out, my dad's like, relax. There's nothing you can do. Like, it already happened. We got to relax and figure out a solution because freaking out does nothing. So my dad and I went to Ace Hardware and we ended up getting a sub pump and a garden hose. And I don't know this stuff, okay? I'm new. I recently got a house probably like 3 or 4 years ago. But I got the sub pump, I purchased the garden hose and hooked that up and got an extension cord and dropped it down step by step. Yeah, it was several steps deep, okay? But I was dropping it down the stairs and it took at least like 2.5 days to drain entirely. But after it all drained out, the stress, the anxiety just felt like it dissipated. And to me, this really reflects on how life is, where we kind of close the lid on an already full bottle and we try to fill it up more and we just can't. We feel overflowed, if that makes sense. Like we try to put so much of our stress into our lives and we try to fill it to the very brim, but we just can't fill it anymore. All we can do is close it up. You know what I mean? We just close up this bottle and we contain way too much water. But it really just comes down to reflecting on the stress. Why am I stressed out? Why am I freaking out? But the important part was trying to find a solution. And that's what I learned through all of this. Just trying to find a solution of the struggles that you have in your own life, because stressing out even more does no good in what your life is consisting of. So once you try to find a solution to why you're stressed and you drain that stress, you drain that water in your basement with a sub pump, it just vanishes. The stress just vanishes. And really the only way that you can relieve this stress is getting closer to God. My brother and I, we started doing a Bible study on weekends with my brother's friends and stuff, and some of the friends aren't even Christian. They're atheist, and they're up to just hang out with my brother. But it really just goes to show that even in your most stressful moments, there's times for community. There's people in your life that you can just rely on. Or in this case, with the basement, it was my dad who kind of helped me through the steps. And I'm so grateful that I have a person like that. I'm just completely blessed that I have someone in my life that knows the solutions to some of these problems and whatnot. But really, it's just being able to go to Bible studies on weekends alongside my brother. It's really a moment for me to not only share my own personal issues of what's going on in my life, but also the Bible that's laid out right in front of me as we discuss it has all the answers I need to know that everything's going to be okay. So to me, that's the lesson that I learned when I was doing the whole chaos with the basement and all that stuff. But I just felt like it was something I had to talk about because I'm still affected by it. And I'm doing a whole bunch of overtime. I'm doing like 3 to 4 hours of overtime a night. So it's really getting really, it's really, it really takes a toll on you when you have to realize that you're doing all of this work to do something that honestly probably wouldn't have been a problem if I just got a new sub pump, because my dad mentioned about that a couple years back. He's like, you gotta get a new sub pump. You're gonna need to get a new one. We don't know how old that current one is. It's probably really old. Get something new, that way you know how old it actually is. And I always shrugged it off, but this was just a conflict that could have been completely avoided if I just listened to my dad. But that's how I learned from this myself. Now I can pass it on to, my kids in the future if whenever that will happen. I don't know when that will happen. But the moral of the story is that the stress that boils in your life can be there 1 minute and completely vanish in another.
It is time to brace for impact.
Brace for impact. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Gaming Tracks. I am Alexander Petrie, and in this segment, it's going to be completely devoted towards people submitting voice memos about the games that impacted them the most in their video game lives. Now, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different here. It's going to be me submitting something because I think it is important that if you listen to me, then the first thing you should know about me is my favorite video game. I mean, this is a video game radio show. How can I not share my favorite video game or the game that impacted me the most in the first episode? But the first video game that impacted me, and this was really obvious to me because this was the game that really made me realize the freedom and the fun that video games can have. And it is Pokemon Heart Gold. Now, I know a lot of you guys are probably thinking, Heart Gold, that came out in 2011? I am only 25 years old. So Heart Gold is the game that I grew up on. I had various DS games, but I also had a lot of games that were movie tie-in games. So it's like, a lot. Let me just be straight up. A lot of the movie tie-in games are not good. They're not good. But Pokemon Heart Gold was such a foundation to why I love turn-based games. I love Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is probably my favorite game I've ever played. But if I had to say the game that impacted me the most, it would be Heart Gold. Because if it wasn't for Heart Gold, I probably wouldn't even touch turn-based games, if I'm being honest. Because Heart Gold was such I loved the idea of collecting Pokemon. And when I was just 10 years old, I'm pretty sure Heart Gold came out in 2011. And if that was the case, I would have been 10 years old. But when I was 10 years old, it was really challenging in certain areas of the game. The most prominent one that I was stuck on it for a good couple months It was in Olivine City, the port city with the lighthouse. Yeah, when I was climbing up the lighthouse, and you could look up videos on this on YouTube, but when I was climbing up the lighthouse, there was this section that I was stuck on for the longest time. I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I thought I was doing something wrong. I was really stuck. Apparently, you're supposed to jump out the lighthouse window and fall on this platform to continue your way up the lighthouse. How am I supposed to know this? I was so lost being 10 years old because every single entrance and exit in the game would be through a door or through a cave entrance. This is the only area in Pokemon where you're exiting something that's not one of those two things. It's a window. I was stuck on that for so long that when I figured out how to do that, I was showing my sister. I was freaking out about it. Just the rest of the game was relatively easy for me to progress through. The only other time I had a difficulty with was I think there was one where I was like I couldn't get past a pseudo wudo. That was one of the issues that I had in that game. But this is going to be very funny for some people. But the first obstacle I had was I had 6 Pokemon in my party, and I couldn't get past the first gym leader town because I had to obtain an egg, and I couldn't get the egg because my party was full. So I was really confused on how to get rid of Pokemon. But I figured that out myself because this was before a time when I used computers a lot, you know what I mean? So I was sitting here trying to like figure it out. I was so confused. I'm like, what does this computer do? Yes, you could take Pokemon and put them in computers. Of course, that makes sense. But no, it actually doesn't. But just the challenges of that game added to the excitement for me. Having these roadblocks, which some of them were a week, other times it was like I said, the lighthouse. That I'm not even joking. That did take a month or two, or even 3. Really, I honestly can't remember, but I was really confused on what to do. But those challenges were just a part of the fun, and when I did figure it out, those were kind of light bulb moments for me. It really did make me kind of lose my mind once I did figure out that stuff. But those are features that occur in many video games today where you can, play without a guide and then you hit this roadblock and you're trying to figure it out yourself. Now, in today's day and age, I just go ahead and look it up because I'm not someone that wants to sit through several hours at a time trying to figure out something that is so blatantly obvious that I feel stupid not knowing. But just Heart Gold, that really expanded my love for turn-based games and just the customization for them and just the overall battle aspect and how you can learn teach your Pokemon different moves and how each Pokemon learns a unique set of moves. I loved the freedom that it had to it, and it was unlike any game that I've played before. Because once again, I was either a Mario gamer. I used to play a lot of Mario or movie tie-in games, but that was the game that impacted me the most. I absolutely loved it. It was so fun and just overall extremely enjoyable. Give me a real quick second here. I'm gonna have to go and get a drink of water. I'll be right back. I'll be back in like 5 seconds. Oh, there it is. Got my water. Where's the Where's the script? Where? What was that? Crap. What? By the way, don't. Oh gosh. Don't forget to go to gamingtracks.com. Oh, come on! We got a lot of content there, both music and shows. Speaking of shows, let's see what we have here.
Theme of the title,
No.
return as triple meetings, the trailer highlights.
Feeling like the developers backtracked.
No.
It's nightmare fuel, isn't it? It's like it's
Come
one of the
on.
worst images I've ever seen.
Gosh. Don't they have anything music related?
Coming up next on Gaming Tracks with Alexander Petrie.
Alexander Petrie? My God. That must be one handsome host. Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Gaming Tracks. I'm Alexander Petrie, and I am doing this alongside my brother, Daniel Petrie. I will be doing a review of 007 First Light. Now, like I said earlier, I haven't finished the game yet. I'm currently on Chapter 7, and if it's anything similar to the Uncharted series, I should be just over halfway. But so far, the game's been really great. But before I start talking about that, my brother, he went to the movie theater. He saw the back rooms. How was that movie, Dan? Was it good or?
Yeah, it was pretty good, and thanks for asking me about it. I just went to see it with my friend Luke. It was a pretty fun movie. It was pretty good. I don't want to talk too much about it. To spoil it.
Not to spoil anything, but the reviews that I saw on it, they said that the first half of the movie was better than the second half. Is that true? Like, I heard the second half gets a little bit boring. Is that true?
Now,
or?
I actually do know what you're talking about, because I have seen like a couple reviews of people saying that, and to be honest, I think I'd have to disagree. I thought both halves were pretty good, pretty decent.
All right.
I thought I do think it slows down the second half, but it's still interesting.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you because that recently came out, and it was something I was curious with, and just to get you to start talking and getting in the flow of things, because, first episode, it might have some jitters and stuff. We might be a little bit nervous in doing this, but as this goes on, I really expect things to really start getting into the flow, and the second episode of Gaming Tracks, you'll be discussing more about the games that impacted you, and we'll be getting to talk more about you because you'll be a part of the second half of majority of the episodes, and if not, then I'll probably find someone else to do it with me, whether that's a friend.
I'll do it.
Yeah, but I feel like, if there was ever an instance where let's say you're busy or something, you have to, because you go to college and there might be things that come up, something's due. I'll probably find our friend Nathan or something of those sorts. But with all that stuff set aside, 007, and you never played the game, so you can go ahead and ask any questions as I talk about it and my experience so far. This won't be spoilers whatsoever. No spoilers. This is just a hands-on impression of what I thought of the game so far. Especially no endgame spoilers because like I said, I haven't finished the game yet. But when I started the game, let me just tell you, the intro sequence is so cinematic. It starts with with like
Oh, nice.
it starts with James Bond's. Um, Basically, he's not MI6 yet, and he starts on a helicopter. The helicopter crashes. The beginning sequence, the entire first chapter, is very cinematic, and you'll see this throughout the game that they take it bits and pieces and some sort of references from other James Bonds and they inject it in this game. But speaking of like references and stuff, some of the like the intro sequence, the music, the Lana Del Rey First Light song, it's so good. As soon as I seen that sort of the intro, I knew this was going to be a good game. And so far, it actually exceeds my expectations. Now, as I play it, I'm not going to say it's straight up Uncharted, but at the same time, it has those Uncharted-like tendencies where, like, you get the big bombastic scenes, but my thing is there's not as much climbing as I thought there would be. Climbing is
Now-
involved with the game. Was that?
Now, is this game made by the same people that made Uncharted?
No, this is made by
No. Okay.
this is made by IO Interactive. They're the same company that does.
Okay.
They're the same company that does the Hitman series. So
Oh, okay.
yeah. So while I knew this wasn't going to be just like that this wasn't going to be just like Uncharted, there was scenes from the trailers and even like the gameplay that I've played so far that reminds me of that stuff. Driving
Oh, okay.
sequences and like the plane scene that you see in those gameplay reveals, those feel very Uncharted like. And to me, that's what hooked me. But the combat is so different from Uncharted. It feels so great. It's kind of
nice.
it's kind of very, to me it was really overwhelming at first, especially with the button controls, because the run button was the R1. Now, you could program it. They have different presets, and one of the presets is the default running preset, which would be the L3 sort of running mechanics that I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But
Yeah.
with this game, the running is R1, and that threw me off for a loop. I switched back to the sort of running preset, the L3 preset, and I actually went back to the R1 because that's when I didn't realize that I could change the presets until probably 3 hours into the game. And I got really used to the R1 that switching back to the L3 running felt odd.
Yeah.
But
okay.
yeah. But the fact that the L1 button, or excuse me, the R1 button runs, but also is used to take cover, that kind of, to me, that felt very different from any game I've played before.
Now, R1 is clicking down on the stick, right?
No, R1 is the first back right button.
Oh, okay. That's the bumper,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah, it's the front bumper, not the back one.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, what you're thinking of, pressing down on the stick, those are the 3 buttons, L3 and R3.
Oh, okay.
But I thought it was very convenient that they had options because, jumping into this game, it felt very unfamiliar. So I think it's very nice that they had presets for people that didn't like that the preset button layout. But I went with I went with the default, and I slowly was getting used to it.
Okay. Now, I don't play a whole lot like PlayStation or any other consoles for that matter. Is it like kind of uncommon for games to not include controller or just control customizations?
Well, for an example, there was no button customizations for Expedition 33,
Oh, wow.
but they added that later in an update. But
Okay.
from what I'm familiar with, I don't really mess with the button presets, but there's multiple button presets in First Light. There's several
Yeah.
presets, which is why I find it very convenient. I wouldn't be surprised if there's presets specifically tied to the Hitman games. I haven't looked that deep into it, but I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if there's certain presets that sway towards games that IO Interactive has previously made.
Uh-huh.
But as we as we go from controls, I will say the driving. I liked the driving at first because the whole like tutorial section was very, to me it was very easy when it came to the driving. I was getting used to it. But that's part of the reason was you were going like very minimum speed in my opinion with the tutorial. It was kind of like in the middle. Like you weren't like being able to drive really fast in the tutorial, but it wasn't until that first straight on mission where you had to get in that that yellow vehicle. It felt very janky to me. And to me that was one of
Oh,
my
really?
yeah, that was one of my like it felt very slow or something. Like it felt, now obviously when it comes to driving in real life, I'm sure they kind of went based off of that or something. But
Yeah.
this is a video game. Certain racing games have a certain feel that I'm used to. But when I played the driving sections in First Light, it did feel very off. I kept on hitting walls. It's not the greatest,
Mm.
but at the same time, I've also felt worse. Um, Now I'll mention this just because they show it in the trailers, but when you get in the garbage truck, the controls felt better because the truck was going slower. So, like, you know what I mean? It's just when you go really fast at those high speed sections where it felt really off to me. But
Now, would you say it was realistic by doing that? Like making it harder to control faster you were? Or
actually, that's
do you think
that's
that was pure clunkiness?
that's the question. I think I think I think they tried to go more of a realism feel where it felt very
Okay.
sensitive when you were going really fast versus driving
Oh,
in a
yeah.
garbage truck. It felt very slow.
Slow
So,
and controlled.
yeah, like it felt easier going slow than going fast. So I'm sure they tried to go the more realistic route, but to me,
Yeah.
I just look at this and go, let's just go the Forza Horizon Need for Speed direction. It's a video
Yeah.
game. It doesn't have to be spot on realism. It kind of took me, I wouldn't say it took me out of the immersion, but hitting those walls really makes it rough to have a clip for it. You know what I mean? Uh, but
Yeah, and I think that's kind of an issue too. Like
yeah,
you're sacrificing realism in like the car physics with like hitting a wall doesn't like break your car or anything, or at least I'd assume, right? Not in that game.
yeah. Well, you can't break car, like you can't, or at least I don't think you could crash and have to restart the mission
Yeah,
that way. But
yeah, it sounds like a compromise almost.
but the driving was definitely something that was very questionable to me because it felt good and it felt bad all at the same time. As for the missions,
Yeah,
the mission, how the missions would work is you start in point A and you have to eavesdrop on certain individuals to gain farther intel. Maybe it might be a key card in a certain location. You'd have to eavesdrop on someone saying, "Oh, hey, I left the key card in your office." Blah 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 blah. And then you use that intel to search for the key card, and you can eavesdrop on different people, and you can complete missions in a few different ways. And to me, that was the interesting part. Like, you weren't strapped down to one linear direction. There's various ways for you to complete each mission. And if you watch gameplay on YouTube, someone will be doing something differently compared to what I was doing. But at the end of the day, the conclusion of that
Yeah.
mission will be the same. Like, you'll still end up in basically you'll still end up doing the same task that you're asked to do. It's just one might be you searching for a key card, while someone on YouTube actually went through the bathroom window and crawled their way up to the room that they had the need the key card for or something. I'm just spewing on. But
Okay, so you got options.
yeah, that's what I like about the game, is that there's options, so it's very replayable. And to me,
Yeah.
that's something completely different from Uncharted. And I've never played Hitman, but I've heard Hitman does similar things. I actually heard Hitman went more into detail on stuff like this, even adding more options to sort of complete missions. But I feel like they did a perfect balance between the two. But I wouldn't sit down and say these two get First Light is a copy of one or the other. It feels like its own game, and I feel like calling it a Uncharted actually does it some disrespect, because it doesn't feel like Uncharted exactly, and it doesn't feel like Hitman exactly. It's its own thing that targets its own audience, especially the James Bond audience. If you love James Bond, you'll love this game. And more likely, if you're a fan of either Uncharted or Hitman, I think it's important to set your expectations that this is going to be a little bit different. But to me, that was my overall take playing 007 First Light, is the missions are replayable.
Nice.
The acting was surprisingly really good, because one of the villains in the game, the actor Lenny Kravitz, I was very hesitant on the acting, because I thought his acting in the trailers kind of made me worry a little bit. I thought it was kind of, it felt like he was reading directly off a sheet of paper. But it's not until, yeah, I know. But it's not until you actually see the sequences in game. Like, his acting, I'd say his acting's good in the game. I wouldn't say it's like great or anything. But I feel like the trailers that featured him did it a little bit of a disservice, because it seemed worse than it actually was. But I thought so far the acting's phenomenal. Greenway does such a great job. I love his character. I think James Bond, he feels like James Bond. I can't remember the actor that plays him, but let me look it up real quick. James Bond First Light actor. Patrick Gibson. He does such a great job at James Bond that I feel like they couldn't have picked a better voice actor for him.
Nice.
I felt like this was a match made in heaven. He feels like a young James Bond that is talented but still inexperienced, and I think the balance that they made for this game was so good. It's so good. I honestly can't wait to finish playing it. I'll probably play more tonight, but just a great game. To me, there's really nothing else to talk about for First Light outside of going into spoilers, which I won't be doing. But the controls, the combat, it's different, but you'll get used to it. The driving is iffy in certain chapters, and the replayability of the game is high. The voice acting is high. To me, I'd say this game is to me, if you're an Uncharted fan or a Hitman fan and you're interested in this game, I'd buy it right away. It's good. It's basically everything that I was hoping 007 First Light was going to be, and even more so. But you have any more questions or something regarding this, or is that about
Yeah,
it?
I was kind of wondering, in terms of single player games, probably my favorite would be like Half-Life.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, is there any sort of like wide arsenal you get in that game? Kind of like how in a game like Half-Life you'd get like a pistol, shotgun, rocket launcher.
Yeah, there's like 5 or so gadgets that you can, and goes farther into the replayability. There's different gadgets that you could equip in the game. I want to say off the top of my head, I think there's like 5 different gadgets. Now, you're always
Yeah.
going to have the watch on hand,
What's
and
the watch do?
that's kind of like an EMP or something where it can
Oh, okay.
like
Disable stuff.
it could disable, it can like different technology can like react to it and whatnot.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
outside of the watch EMP, there's various there's a few different, like there's a laser with the watch. There's like earbuds, like an earbud pack, and you can like chuck it and it like explodes. It's really
Oh.
interesting. Yeah, there's like a pen or maybe no, I think it's the phone that does poison darts that makes individuals
Oh, okay.
sick.
So it is all like spy stuff then.
Yeah, but the thing is, and this is what makes it replayable, you could only equip. Now, I'm assuming at some point I unlock a third one because there's like
Yeah.
one equipment slot that's locked. But as of right
Okay.
now, out of the 5 or so gadgets I have, you could only equip 2 per mission, which makes me
Hmm.
want to go back and try different gadgets to see if I could do something differently,
Yeah.
which
And
just
complete faster,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
But to
Yeah,
see
that's
if
what I like doing.
but yeah, to see if there's different ways of doing things as well.
Yeah, that's where I think a lot of things come in fun for first person shooters, like single player ones. Just like combining different mechanics to
Yeah.
get different outcomes. I think stuff like that's really fun.
Yeah, and it's just a really great time overall. Um but my question for you, Dan, is are you even interested in this game, or like did I make you any more interested in it or no?
Um,
Just say
I
yes.
mean, considering that it's made by the people that uh made Hitman, I'm guessing it's more on the stealthy side.
Yeah, it is. It is more on the stealthy side, but um there's a lot of hand-to-hand combat you could do too. Like there's many instances where I'm stealthy for a little bit and then I get spotted and then I'm like punching this guy. And in certain
So there's like
areas,
a mix of both then?
yeah, in certain areas,
Okay.
if it's pretty secluded from the main henchmen or whatever, like the main enemies, if it's real secluded, you could take out that one guy and you're back in the stealth mode because no one else heard or even spotted you. So
Oh, okay.
it's pretty balanced when it comes to, like, I'm sure if you wanted, you could be stealthy the entire time, but I kind of suck at that. So it was kind of like stealth for 5 seconds, attacking and punching people for for freaking 30 minutes. That's basically how it was for me. But it was a really great game overall. Um but yeah, I think that's really it on my review for 007 First Light. I think I did pretty good at not spoiling anything.
Yeah.
But well, that's gotta do it for this episode. I'm really thankful for Daniel, who is able to join me and help me out with the
You're welcome.
yeah, to help me out with the radio show. It really means a lot to me to have another person to talk to on this show. It's gotta be a big journey ahead of us, huh, Dan? But
Yeah, I can't wait to do more of these. This is
yeah,
gonna be fun.
I'm really excited for Thursday talking about Summer Game Fest.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be fun. That would
But
be really fun to do, actually.
but that's gotta do it for today's episode. If you guys haven't yet, please go ahead, check out gamingtracks.com. It has a lot of content on there. Anyone that you hear, anyone that's featured on the radio station that, I have a few people planned to be a part of the radio station here shortly in the upcoming week. But you could check them out on the website. It'll take you directly to their YouTube channel. And as well as my episodes, you could find all that stuff on gamingtracks.com and much other content. So that's gotta do it, and I'll see you guys next time.